You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, baseball fans? It is Marlin fans. It is Dodger fans. It is crossover time on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. My name's Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. We got Pete Fox on the other side. And I'll tell you what, Pete, the Dodgers and the Marlins in the MIA tonight. And the Dodgers getting back to doing Dodger things while the Marlins getting back to doing Marlin things, which basically means today the Marlins lost and the Dodgers won. So 8-4 the final, and Shohei Ohtani does not go yard. He steals a base.
No.
So he's close, Pete. But real quick, before we get it going, I want to say real quick thank you to all of you, especially the everydayers. Locked On Sports Los Angeles, Locked On Sports Miami. Wherever you get your podcasts, we are free. Want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers postcast, Locked On Marlins postcast your first watch/listen every single day. And you everydayers, I mean, especially you Marlins everydayers, I don't even have to say anything else, Pete. And tonight's episode of our crossover is brought to you by Game Time. That's right. What time is it, Pete?
It's game time, buddy.
Tonight's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Well, it seems like everybody wearing a Dodger uniform hit a home run tonight, Pete, except for Shohei Ohtani. 3 of them went yard. It was an entertaining game. It was a fun game. He did get a base hit and a stolen base, but no home run for Shohei. He's stuck on 48, but he did steal a bag, so he's at 49 there.
Yeah, I still feel like he is pressing. We talked about it a lot yesterday. There was a perfect sort of storybook opportunity for him to hit a home run in that 5th inning when the Dodgers were rallying, the 4th inning, they put up 5 runs. Will Smith hit that towering shot down the line, which bounced off the foul pole.
I always wonder why they don't call it the fair pole. Should be the fair pole.
Right? It's one of those oddities of baseball for sure. And there was a time Kike came up. Kike had the home run rather, and was his in the. Yeah, it was the 4th as well. So there was, Shohei was at bat in that inning. I'm like, well, hit one right now. It'd be perfect. This would add to the drama and make it, ever so Hollywood. But no, struck out looking. And
man, that ball that he hit though, Pete, what inning was it? The 5th inning, 4th inning, that bullet that he hit to right field. That thing, wow. I mean, he smoked that thing. A nice catch by TonaI on the run. Kind of interesting with Weathers on the mound and TonaI, and it was interesting having flashbacks with the Marlins. But, Weathers comes back today, and we mentioned Ohtani does not hit that homer, and he has been striking out a little bit more than normal, right? So Weathers just had a hard time in the 4th inning. But you could see, you and I had talked off the air, right, a little bit about Weathers. You see the heat with the fastball. You see the changeup in the sweeper, keeping guys off balance. But you also see the propensity to give up those big hits and then have the big inning. So it was kind of like all of Weathers rolled into one today for Dodger fans to see.
Yeah, there was the 7th inning when he lined out to the right fielder.
7th inning, 7. Wow, was that long ago? It seems like it was like 4 hours ago that happened.
the at bat in the 4th was when he struck out looking. It felt like Oral Hershiser made the comment that it felt like he was sitting on a pitch, and then Weathers grooved a fastball, and he was not sitting on a fastball. It did feel like he was looking for off speed in that position. And that is kind of what I'm talking about, where he's not up there trying to get a base hit. He's not see the ball, hit the ball. He's like, I'm looking for a pitch right now that I can launch, and he didn't get that pitch, so he watched it come right down Main Street, and then he walked back to the dugout with the bat on his shoulders. So 1 for 5, not a terrible day, but I wish he'd get to 50 so we could move on and get back.
Well, that's what it is, right? That's what it is. That's what it is, because you could see him. You said it yesterday, and I said that if you try to hit a home run, you never will. But you can see it. I think you're right. You watch him every day, Pete. I can see it. He is pressing just a little bit. It's like you see the look on his face when he got the steal, that nice little, got the steal. It was almost like just that pure joy on his face. And as soon as he's able to hit those numbers, right, and just focus, what do you think that'll do for him and for the team? I mean, maybe not much for the team, but as you head toward the playoffs, you want to have that out of the way as soon as possible so he can just get back to the everyday grind, right? Just get it done.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's clearly something that is hanging over his head. not necessarily all bad. It is nice to have goals and things that you shoot for. But at this point in time, I feel like the Dodgers should be shooting for coming together as a unit and becoming a better team for the playoffs. And when Shohei is a little bit more team oriented, and I'm not saying he's not team oriented, but when he's a little bit more focused on, hey, I need to get on base. Hey, I need to move that runner over to second. Hey, I need to drive that guy in. Hey, there's a runner on a runner on third with one out. I just need to hit a fly ball right here. That kind of thing will make him even better than he already is. And right now, there's no way it can't be something that he's focused on. I mean, there's just no way that he's just, oh no, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's obviously important to him because it's a big deal. It's never been done before. So once it's done, I mean, it makes sense. It's typical for a situation like this. It's something that is a focal point and it is distracting him. It may not be distracting him a lot, but it is definitely distracting him. So once he gets to 50-50, I think that will be a good situation for him to be in and for the Dodgers to kind of say, all right, let's refocus on, our playoff push.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we'll talk more about this a little bit later on in the show as we preview tomorrow's game. We'll give you the lines, we'll give you the pitchers, and we'll let you know what we think Shohei may have in his favor or going against him tomorrow with the matchups, possible bullpen matchups, because God knows we'll see 74 relief pitchers with these two teams, right? I mean, are there two teams in baseball who use more relievers than these two teams, Pete? I know the Dodgers this year, their bullpen has set a record for innings pitched. The Marlins have set records for pitchers used and innings pitched this year. And, it's just interesting when you see that. But it's been a tough year for both teams in terms of injuries with the starting pitching. And when you talk about the Dodgers today with Weathers coming off the IL, he's been gone for a long time. And since early in July, the month of the trade deadline. And so coming off, he kind of looked like it, a little bit of rust. He's still got some pop on the fastball, not a lot of movement, late movement, especially on his pitches. And that's where you could tell he's not really sharp. The Dodgers teed off today on Weathers. And, Hernandez home run, 430 feet. Shohei might not have hit one, Pete, but Edman and Hernandez and Smith, a couple times he's been an all-star. The Dodgers are starting to, their offense anyway. I mean, 9 runs yesterday, 8 today. They're ready for the postseason offensively for sure.
Yeah, the bigger thing is the performance on the mound by Landon Knack as the starter. He's a rookie, and there's a big question mark hanging over his head as to whether or not he's going to be on this postseason roster. I think a lot of people are in favor of him being there, especially after today's performance. There was discussion during the game between Joe and Oral about, I missed the lead into the conversation. Maybe you heard it, but I didn't. They were talking about whether or not it will be Landon Knack or Walker Buehler. And I'm like, for what?
I was watching the Marlins, and I was actually going to get to the pitching in a minute for the Dodgers. Knack I was going to say that was my next topic is Knack has a knack for making his case today for the postseason. But I mean, literally, so that was my point. The offense is ready for the postseason. Part B of that was getting to the pitching and Knack and Buehler. And you make a great point because you don't know if Kershaw is going to be ready. Yamamoto looks good, and you really need him now with what's happened. So with the Dodgers, with both these guys vying for that spot, will the other one be a reliever if the other one's getting the ball, or will the other one be off the roster?
Well, I mean, who knows, Jim?
I'm a Marlins guy. I mean, we've had no postseason ramifications since April.
Here's where it is. Yamamoto's the one, Flaherty's the 2, and then there are question marks. Flaherty's definitely the 2.
Okay.
There are question marks from there on. I believe that it should be Walker Buehler in that point as the 3, and then Landon Knack should be the 4, and Clayton Kershaw should be in the bullpen as a long relief guy if needed.
Okay.
Now, I don't know the health of where his toe is going to be. That is the big question with regard to Clayton Kershaw. If he is healthy at the end of the regular season, I guess there is talk and a feeling that he could be the 4 or even the 3, just merely because of his playoff experience and the fact that he's a Hall of Famer. It might be an insult to say,
and he hasn't been as bad as people say he's been. He actually, if you look numbers wise, I mean, the meltdowns have been horrific, but the numbers are not as bad as people say they are.
And his last outing, he left with the injured toe. So you can't necessarily hold that against him. But to me, he's been okay and good and then really bad. So and we know in the postseason that he is not stellar. He has proved to be good in the postseason, but he's also proved to be a dumpster fire. So it really boils down to, first of all, who the Dodgers are going to face. I think you'll have to make your decisions based on that. Obviously, they're going to tie a lot of their decisions to analytics. I'll tell you one thing that will not happen, and one guy that will not be a part of the Dodger postseason roster is this Logie or Logie or whatever. He has an infinity ERA. Faced 3 guys, they all got on base and they all scored. Jim, have you ever in the history of covering baseball seen a guy with an infinity ERA? The abbreviation in the ERA category for him is INF.
I've never
seen that before. His ERA is infinity.
He threw 9 pitches, 8 of them were strikes. Unfortunately, 3 of them, he needs neck surgery after that, Pete. He's Pete Fox. I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. This is Locked On Marlins Postcast. This is Locked On Dodgers Postcast. This is a Locked On Major League Baseball crossover as we head down the stretch they come. The pennant races on fire, the playoff races as well. We'll hit those for the Dodgers. Obviously, the Marlins have been out of it forever, and I'm just happy to be doing a show with any kind of playoff ramifications. We'll talk about the Dodgers, where they stand, what happened with the Padres today, what are Ohtani's chances to hit 2 tomorrow and get to 50? Will he get the stolen base? He's at 49. So many things to still get to. This is your Locked On crossover, Dodgers Marlins Postcast. Jim Greasehaber, Call Me Grease, and Pete Fox. Step aside for just a second, and we will continue. Right after I tell you about this offer, and I want you to scream it from the rooftops because it is absolutely amazing. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers, and if you're not one, you're going to be one right after you finish hearing me tell you about this, because you can bet $5, Pete, and all y'all, $5, and you get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket. Do you know how much NFL Sunday Ticket costs? You don't want to know. And with FanDuel, you don't have to know. You get the 3-week free trial from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, easy peasy. You get to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. I have one question for you, Pete. What time is it? What time is it, Pete? It's game time. That's right. Pete's off the screen. He is muted. He didn't even have to say it. You knew what he was going to say. Game time is incredible. Now, when Pete and I were kids, our parents take us to game. Our grandparents, we'd have to order the tickets in advance. They get sent in the mail. Anything can happen through rain, sleet, snow. Do they take your tickets? You never knew, right? Or you're waiting in line forever the day of the game and it ruins half the experience. Forget about it. With Game Time, you don't need to do any of it. You do it all right in the app. You can actually do it with it's really cool. It's a feature they have now that is called Game Time Picks. You put in some criteria and it only shows you exactly what you want, meaning where you want to sit, price range, whatever, for the events you want. Not just sports either. If you like the theater, and I think that's not theater, that's more like opera. But if you like the opera or the theater or whatever you like, besides sporting events, concerts, you name it, you can do that with Game Time. You can see the view from your seats before you get them. You get the unbelievable guarantee from them. It's 110% of the difference if you find them for cheaper anywhere else. And it's covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So what does that mean for you? Everything. It means you take all the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, you just create an account, redeem LOCKEDONMLB is the code for $20 off when you download Game Time today. What time is it, Pete? Game time on the Locked On Podcast Network. I was waiting for him. There he is. Like, I keep forgetting that we can't be heard. Like, so the other day when they made these new graphics for us, Pete Fox, they made like the star of the game, the turning point, and all these beautiful graphics they sent me. I went to put them in and they don't go around the photo. So I realized that when I put them up and I was doing the voiceover, my voice was gone. So when I went back and listened in the Simplecast after and watched the YouTube, when I put the graphic up and did the read, there was no read because when we take our face off the screen, we also take our voice off the screen.
Here's how you do that real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Put it in the overlay category, and then it'll just overlay, and you can still be heard. So I had to ask that question as well.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it. All right, well, good one tonight for the Dodgers. Edman homers, Smith homers, Hernandez homers, Knack with a knack for a big-time performance. And look, whether you think it should be Buehler or you think it should be Knack, there's no denying that what Knack did today was, I mean, if it was an audition, he did more than prove his case after the Marlins with a pretty good hitting performance yesterday. And then they got 4 off the bullpen after he was out of the game. So you add up the runs they scored yesterday with the runs that they scored after he came out of the game today, based on the innings. And you look at, wow, the Dodgers staff ERA other than him. So he's the one guy who's been able to get the Marlins out so far in this series.
Well, the thing that I liked about his performance was 7 Ks, which is nice to see. And he got smarter against the Marlins as the game went on. So he pitched smart. I mean, this is part of the problem for some of the Dodger pitchers. They don't seem to learn from a previous at bat against a certain hitter. So second time through the lineup or third time through the lineup, they're nowhere near as good as they were the first time through the lineup. So Landon seemed to improve, seemed to pay attention, and definitely didn't use the same, like he pitched 50% or more fastballs. But when it came to a pitcher's count, where it was 1-2 or 2-2 or even 0-2, you know what he used for his strikeout pitch was different as the game went on. A lot of fastballs early, and then as the game went on, he went to some of the off-speed stuff, which was nice to see that he wasn't only relying on the fastball to strike out hitters. And that is smart pitching, and that is something that really hasn't been a part of good outings for the Dodgers, right? It's been a regular thing in bad outings. It's not as if they have bad stuff. They're just not pitching with their head. They're not being smart. They're not using the knowledge that they have or mixing it up. I always try to pay attention to what the strikeout pitches are and notate them.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the same pitch as your hammer every time, the opposition is going to be wise to it.
That's what happened with Weathers tonight, Pete. Yeah. That's exactly what happened with Weathers in this game.
So yeah, that was something that was good to see from Landon Knack. He was pitching to the count, to the hitter, and not being repetitive and using the same pitch over and over again. Hitting spots, got robbed a couple of times by the umpire who was being a little stingy. But other than that, it was a very, very good performance. To make it through 5 on 87 pitches was very nice. And you brought up the question earlier as to the bullpen usage. The Dodgers are averaging just a tick under. Oral pointed this out during the game. They're averaging a tick under 5 innings per game. So if they can get 5 from the starter, that is above what they are used to getting. So that's nice to see that he produced 5. I think that's what they'd like to see is 5. If they can get 6, that is above and beyond for them. But right now, the average is just under 5 innings per game from the Dodger bullpen on average, which is not what you're looking for. That's a lot. Yeah, you're right.
So which relievers do you trust? Because that usage and the number of pitchers who will actually be called upon and trusted by Roberts in the postseason is really going to shrink. So who are the guys who you can really rely on and depend upon if you're a Dodger fan out of the bullpen in the postseason, out of all these guys?
Are you talking about the trust tree, Grease? Is this what you want to know? Is who is high on the trust tree?
Yeah, because apparently I'm here to help you, Pete, because your fan base, I'm looking in the chat here. You're not impressed by Ohtani. It takes a lot to impress Pete. So I'm trying to say who has impressed Pete and which relievers do you feel
evidently
like the Dodgers
they
will be
believe,
able to count on in the postseason?
Jim, they believe I've dragged you into the.
And then you go ahead and hit the break. just make your point and hit the break because we're up against it. You take
okay,
it right
yeah. Real quick, look, there's a lot of guys in this bullpen that we feel good about and that we trust. Joe Kelly came back today, looked good. I do not trust Joe Kelly, but looked very good today. Obviously, this Logie guy, he's gone, but Trinan is a guy that's been very, very good.
Infinity RA to infinity and beyond. That's not what he meant, by the way.
Trinan is good. Has a few bumps here and there. Kopech is my guy. If he's not the closer in the postseason, there's a problem.
What about Ohtani? That's what I'm trying to get at, is where Ohtani would fit in. I mean, would you ever use him as a reliever?
In the bullpen. He would be
starting.
That's it.
But think of what it takes to be a starter versus a reliever. Like the work that goes in, the stuff in between starts for him to be a hitter too. Wouldn't it be easier for him to come back out of the pen?
Yes, but I don't think they need that. So it would be foolish. It would be wasteful to do that. The bullpen is fine. They're doing well. This Honeywell character is an innings eater for them. I like him. I don't love him. He's not high on the trust tree. I feel like he's just there till the regular season comes to an end. So there's a handful of guys that we all feel good about, that we trust. Daniel Hudson, a guy that pitched last night and didn't do well, is one that has a question mark hanging over his head because he's iffy, up and down. Michael Grove is a guy that I like. I feel like he's good. I feel like Brazier's good, but those two guys get into trouble at times. So not everyone is with me on those two guys. Brazier probably has a little bit more trust than Michael Grove, but for the most part, those are the guys that we're going to see in the postseason. Obviously, Anthony Banda broke his hand after a bad outing and is upset. So he goes into the dugout and punches something and breaks his hand. So we probably won't see him again, which is not the smartest thing. I never understand that. Throw something. Don't punch anything.
If you put Kershaw in there, you said you want to have Kershaw in the bullpen too, so that bolsters that, right? And if possibly maybe Ohtani could throw an inning or two here and there, what I'm saying is that kind of changes things where you can use a Buehler or a Knack and have them go 2-3 innings in a game like that. And then you got Kershaw back there and you got Shohei and Roberts hasn't ruled that out. So to me, it makes it so that the Dodgers are that much better, because when Kershaw comes back and if Ohtani's in the bullpen, to me, that would make them almost unbeatable to have those two guys in there.
Potentially, that could be a way of handling it. Like I said, it would be, you wouldn't put him in for an inning. You would want Kershaw in there for 2 or 3, I think.
No, Shohei for an inning, right? Like instead of Mike Trout, he can strike out Bryce Harper in the NLCS. Instead of Mike Trout in the WBC, it'll be Bryce in the NLCS.
Look, it would definitely make a statement, that is for sure. If Shohei were to come out for an inning, like in the 8th as a setup man or something, that would be unbelievable. But I don't know. I'm seeing videos every day of him in the bullpen pitching. So he's definitely throwing and it looks good, but does he have the stuff? Is that just fastballs?
He's going to pitch in the playoffs. He's definitely going to pitch in the playoffs. If I had to take that bet, I would go, I'll bet everything I'm ever going to make. I'll bet one of my sons. I have 2. I only have 1 daughter, but I have 2 sons. I'll bet one of them. There's no way he's not taking the rock in the playoffs. There's no way.
I don't know. We'll get some feedback. You guys comment. Do you think Shohei will pitch in the postseason? Jim says yes. I'm a question mark. I would love to see it, but I don't believe it will happen. I don't think they run that risk. I think they're too afraid of that risk. But as you pointed out yesterday, Dave Roberts is not ruling it out. So we shall see, and we'll talk about it more and share your opinions after the break. It's the Locked On Dodgers postcast, Locked On Marlins postcast on the Locked On Sports LA and Miami YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. All right, a new sponsor on the Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Marlins postcast, Arena Club. For most of us that like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Mahomes rookie card or something like that just isn't in the cards or the budget. I love collecting, but that's some serious money right there to drop on a card. Thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com. Now it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Every card that I listed was hit from last week's Arena Club slab pack drop. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. The Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent, with a full grade rationale provided and explanation of how your card was scored. Right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code LockedOnMLB. That's arenaclub.com/LockedOnMLB. The code is LockedOnMLB for 10% off your first purchase. You know what's funny about that, Jim? I'm not a card collector. I'm more of an autograph collector, memorabilia, that kind of stuff. But I've been watching this show on Netflix where these guys they're somewhere in Philadelphia or New Jersey or something, and they're like the biggest memorabilia collectors in the United States, if not the world. And they get so geeked out on the cards. And when you get one of these, I don't really know a lot about it, but when you get these rookie cards or these special releases that are limited and they can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars,
right?
Not a couple of grand like we were talking about in the spot, hundreds of thousands of dollars for these special cards. I'm just blown away. It is a crazy world, to be sure.
And I had all these sets, all these tops from the 80s, mid 80s, McGuire, Griffey, Bonds, all those rookies. And of course I have the sets where they're not worth as much. I have the ones that aren't worth a lot. I mean, and I find it to be ridiculous. So I just want to get on my soapbox for a second here. And I don't really have a soapbox if you haven't figured that out. But I am a sports radio guy at heart. And I do want to say all these guys, and good job, Craig. Yeah, he can pitch one inning at the start of a game, although why would you probably pitch 2 or 3? But when I see grown people, I'm just going to say this as nicely as I can, grown people in line when they have like a live drop of a card set or something, and you're in line so you can collect and you can make money and it's your business, and you're taking a spot that a little kid could be in to actually collect the cards, and you're pushing kids out of the way so you can make money. That's why I want nothing to do with all that, because those guys are scumbags.
All right. Soapbox it up.
Taking a spot away from a kid to get a card so you can make money off it. That's no better than catching a home run and not giving it to a kid sitting next to you.
That was my question. Is that how you handle that? If you get a ball in the, if you catch a home run ball and there's a kid, do you toss it to the kid?
Yeah. Unless the kid's wearing the colors of the other team. Like if I'm a Yankee fan and I catch a ball from Aaron Judge, I'm not giving it to a Red Sox fan. But beyond that, yes.
Did you see that story? It was a Sunday night game because ESPN was there, and it was an Ohtani home run ball hit to the pavilion at Dodger Stadium. The guy caught it and very slyly pulled out another ball from his pocket and threw it back on the field. And the people sitting around him didn't catch it, but of course ESPN did. So they sent Buster Olney, or whoever the reporter is, out there to talk to the guy. And the guy was just like, look, man, it's a Ohtani home run ball. This is a big deal, and I want to keep the ball, but I don't want to get booed by all the fans. He was so cool about it because he was so honest. He was like, I want the ball. I'm sorry. I want the ball, but I want to throw it back onto the field as well. So I came prepared. I had another ball, blah, 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 blah. So I really appreciated the guy's honesty, that he wasn't trying to bury the fact that he just wanted the Ohtani home run ball. And kudos to him for coming prepared. It was a pretty cool, funny situation. And great job by ESPN the way they covered it. I thought it was fantastic.
I got a question for you. What do you do if you catch Shohei's 50th? I'm not giving that ball to a kid.
No, I put it under my shirt.
I'll send the kid 10 grand after I sell the ball. I'm not give the kid like $5 grand for college or something after I sell it. $5 grand,
dude. That ball is going to be worth hundreds. That's one of those things that's going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's going to be a very big deal. So yeah, that's one of those things where they'll send security down. Watch. It's going to be a big deal. They'll send security down immediately to get that person out of there, because somebody, if it's like a smaller person, maybe it could be a kid or a woman, who knows, like a bigger dude could like just physically
take it where the cameras can see you until security comes for you. Be right there with I got the ball. I'm holding it up so the camera, like right here. I'm not moving that ball. You just make sure those cameras are on me. So if anybody tries to take it. That's another part
of authenticating it and so forth. So, yeah, there's a lot involved with that.
Well, he's not going to hit it in Miami now. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
you don't think so? Why not?
I mean, you could hit two tomorrow. I mean, obviously unlikely, right? I mean,
nothing's unlikely for Shohei. He's due. This is the thing about Shohei. When he goes to a couple of games, he hit a home run yesterday. So no home run today. Yeah, maybe not tomorrow. Back home in LA to face the Rockies over the weekend. So could be a weekend deal. That would be a better story, I think, than hitting it in Miami. So maybe he hits 1 tomorrow and then hits 50 in LA against the Rockies. So look, we're all waiting for it to happen so we can just kind of move on.
Move on.
Kike had a nice night hitting a bomb. That was good to see. Weird lineup tonight for the Dodgers. They had people playing in all sorts of different places. Mookie was playing second base for the first time in a long time. They had Kike over at third. Tommy Edman was at short. So a bit of a different lineup, but in the end, it all worked out. And Chris Taylor had a nice night at the plate. And I only point that out, Grace, because everybody loves to jump all over Chris Taylor and say he needs to be DFA. Get rid of Chris Taylor. How did they keep Chris Taylor over Jay Hay, who broke up a perfect game tonight in San Diego as a member of the Astros? Jason Hayward playing over there for the Astros broke up the Padres' perfect game. But a lot of
Padres win. Yep. And so now
they did win. Yeah.
You had a win to stay 3.5 up over the Padres. And, the Diamondbacks were up 3-0 last I checked. I don't remember what the score was. I don't know if you could see that, but it doesn't. I mean, they're 6 games out coming into today anyway. But when I think about the Dodgers offensively, they're ready for the playoffs, Pete. Offensively right now, 9 runs yesterday, 8 runs today. They had a 7-run inning in Atlanta. That offense is really on track right now. Edman, 6 home runs in 8 games for Tommy Edman, who's on fire, hit one today. Smith down the line off the fair pole. So the offense is ready. We know this. We've talked about it for 2 straight days. It's the rotation and the bullpen that are going to need to be settled for the Dodgers. And we talk about Shohei and we talk about Kershaw. But the reality is this team's going to go as far as the offense is going to carry it. You're not beating teams 1-0, 2-1 in the playoffs with this team. It's not going to happen. They're not built for that offensively, and certainly the pitching staff. And without Tyler at the top of the rotation, it's going to be offense that wins it for the Dodgers. And so as a Dodger fan, with the pitching being such a big question mark, they're walking out there and coming out of the bullpen in Riddler costumes. You have to be comforted knowing that offense is as good as it gets in the game, and it's clicking right now.
Yes, without a doubt. There's so many opportunities for the Dodgers to score when a guy like Mookie Betts has an offer and Teoscar Hernandez has an offer. It's not necessarily end of the world. Early in the season, the Dodgers struggled at the bottom of the lineup, with Chris Taylor getting off to a very slow start, and James Outman, who's now in the minors, off to a slow start. The bottom 3, Gavin Lux, was very bad to start the season. But good news is the bottom of the lineup has picked up the slack and are now producing and have been for months. So that's good to see. So, the lineup is full from top to bottom. So, they can pick up the slack when somebody has an off day like Mookie did tonight. Teoscar, nothing going on tonight. Not a great night for Ohtani, but he did have a base hit. So all in all, yes, offensively speaking, you look at this team and you think, hey, anything is possible. But I know from experience that if you have a shaky bullpen and, banged up starters, I don't think an offense can overcome that. This team is not, they are built to score runs, but they're not built to overcome bad pitching. They are not that good. They'd have to score 12 a night, and they can't do that. Nobody can. So they have to be better pitching. The starters have to be more stingy and work into the 5th inning. And the bullpen has to come in and get the job done. They don't have to be completely lights out, where they don't allow a run. I think what happened today is good enough, right? This is pretty much all you need. Look, let's get rid of the 3 runs from Infinity guy, Logie or whatever.
Infinity and beyond, the ERA.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear. So, if they don't have that guy, it's an 8-1 game. And the bullpen comes in and gets their job done. Joe Kelly was good. Blake Trinan was good. Michael Kopech was good. And Brett Honeywell came in to close. Did fine. Gave up a run and 2 hits, but was fine. That's okay in a game like this. Yep. So the bullpen, Dodger fans know the bullpen has been a big issue over the last few years when they've been sent packing in the first round. So they have to get beyond the first round, and the bullpen will be a big part of that. And the starting rotation is obviously something that is a focal point. So we'll just have to wait and see how it finishes down the stretch here and see what sort of health comes and what sort of performance comes. We're going to need to see another nice performance from Walker Buehler. We need more of what we saw from Landon Knack in his next outing. And then Yamamoto will get at least 1 more, if not 2 more outings. And then, we don't know about Kershaw's health. And Flaherty had a bad outing last time out. He starts tomorrow, so hopefully he gets back on track.
All right, well, Kershaw threw a bullpen today. He's got the bone spur in his left big toe, and Dave Roberts said it was an important step in Kershaw's rehab, and so there you have that. Now, Max Meyer for the Marlins is continuing his rehab program in Jupiter at the spring training complex. He'll be evaluated in the next few days for a program. He's not going to pitch again this year. Alcantara's looking good, on target for a comeback next year, and so the Marlins going to get some of those arms back. Weathers came back tonight. Of course, the Dodgers, 6 runs, 8 hits, struck out 5 in his first appearance since June 7th. And it went exactly the way you might have expected it to go against a team like the Dodgers. But a Dodger fan, look, the takeaway from this game, besides the fact that Shohei got steal number 49 and didn't hit a home run, is that Landon Knack gave up 2 hits over 5 scoreless innings. That's the biggest thing for the Dodgers today. Tommy Edman is 6 homer in 8 games. They hit 3 overall in this game to beat the Marlins 8-4. Pete Fox, Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Pete, you just gave a whole summary of the Dodgers and a beautiful job there. But before we wrap it up, anything else you want to say to the people?
See you tomorrow as the Dodgers look to take the series and roll into Chavez Ravine against the Rockies on the right foot. That's our hope, Jim.
All right. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers Postcast plus Locked On Marlins Postcast the crossover. Your first listen/watch today. For your second, find Locked On MLB. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Pete, one last question for you. Have you ever met a guy named Sully in your life who you didn't want to drink a beer and talk sports with? Because I haven't. So go check out Sully with Locked On MLB.
No, but I had a stray cat for a few years named Sully because we were going to see that movie about Sully Sullenberger starring Tom Hanks. And we found the stray cat right after. So we named the cat Sully, who's become like a neighborhood cat, just roams around the neighborhood. And we call him Sully or her. We're not even sure. And it shows up on Facebook. People are like, hey, anybody know whose cat this is? And we're like, yeah, it's the neighborhood cat. That's Sully. So that's my only Sully story for you.
Well, it's still a good Sully story, and you can check out our Sully Locked On MLB every day. We'll be back tomorrow. Now, this show will be earlier tomorrow. Now, if you're on the East Coast, Marlin fans, obviously the game is going to start. What is it? It's a 1:40 first pitch 1:40. Tomorrow Pacific. Yeah. That's your time, Pete. And so 4:40 Eastern first pitch. We'll wrap it up. The postcast, the crossover right afterward when we are done. For Pete, I'm Grease. Thank you for watching the crossover. Marlins, Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Dodgers 8, Marlins 4. Keep your game tight and your mind right, baseball fans. We're out.
See you tomorrow.